three of us, and
Yep.
I wasn't there, so.
All right, good evening. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission, the Thursday, October 6, 2022 meeting to order at 6:32 PM. In attendance, of regular members Sienna, Urbano, and Galdenzi. First order of business will be pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So Victor has asked if we could please amend the agenda under 5, so add a 5C to address a noise complaints at 254 to 260 Branford Road. So if we are agreeable to that, I'll ask for a motion.
I make a motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll add under 5C, a topic to talk about noise complaints at 254 to 260 Branford Road. Okay. So next, let's move to the minutes of September 15th. We probably can't.
I was absent, so.
Yeah, I was too, so we'll have to table that. We'll have to table that to the next meeting. So that will bring us to number 4A, which is application 2022-9, 1874 Middletown Avenue, B1 zone. It's a site plan modification for continued use as a restaurant with an addition of 15 by 34.2 feet off the rear of the building and associated site modifications. Owner AMB Property Holdings LLC, applicant James Preddy, PELS, Crescola Engineering LLC.
Good evening, Jim Preddy, Crescola Engineering. 1874 Middletown Avenue is on the north side of Route 17. It was for many years Tony Z's Pizza.
Yeah.
The application is to reopen it as a restaurant, coffee shop, and up to lunch, I think. But the proposal is just for this small addition on the back. They want to be able to serve ice cream out of a separate part of the building. It meets all bulk standards in every other way. There were a couple of items that Victor asked us to address when he looked at the plan, moving a parking space out front and changing the curb to protect that, the first couple spaces. There's an existing dumpster pad that's within the setback, but even though it's existing, we're going to move that a little farther back and move it inside the property so that we're not within the setbacks anymore, toward the back of the gravel area. To make it compliant, also to move it farther away, because if people are sitting outside eating ice cream or whatever, it'll keep the bees away, hopefully. And that's it. I mean, this is a very minor thing. This is typically something that the town planner may have done administratively, but in the absence of a town planner, we're here.
Enclosed dumpster is, it's fenced, like a fenced?
Yeah, a concrete pad with a
Sliding.
fence enclosure, yes.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Just a
sorry.
quick question. The gravel, that's just an extension of the paved parking lot?
Yeah, it's actually already there. I mean, there's grass that's going through it, so they're gonna have to clean it up a little bit and probably redress it with some more stone. But it's basically parking that doesn't get used all the time.
Now, this
So,
is-
no,
Sorry,
go
Bill.
right ahead. No, please. That's-
Now, this is just a enlargement of the existing kitchen?
It's actually not a kitchen space. It's actually like freezers and counter space for ice cream in the back of the building. And there'll be a door.
Wasn't that in existence way back?
I don't know if before the pizza place, I don't know if, because there was something else there before, they may have done.
When I had hair, it was called Chubby's.
Yeah.
You know,
like
it's
a-
an ice cream, hot dog place.
Yeah, right.
Like basically fast food. across from
So
the
there,
park.
so this addition will actually be split. There'll be a small little patron area where you can go inside and get ice cream at a counter, but then there'll also be a window on the back wall where you can stand outside and get ice cream. There were
So-
plans, architectural plans.
I don't know if we need to read these in, but we're all been given to the fire chief, acting fire chief, and fire marshal. The main
Right.
concern with them are
Right.
vehicular traffic in the back with patrons at that ice cream thing. I don't know if you saw these, Jim.
I have not.
The,
Okay.
I'll get you copies. They did come in recently, I believe yesterday and probably last Friday, but comments were of the effect that the fire chief, interim fire chief, asked if there could be some protection from vehicular traffic when pulling around the rear of the building, whether it be a bollard style or planters, and kind of left it up to the fire marshal for any concerns that they may have as far as fire safety goes. We got the fire marshal's comments, which kind of mirror those from the interim fire chief, saying that the any of those hazards from pulling around the building should or could be taken care of during the building process with the fire marshal during their inspections, because
Oh, okay.
fire marshal typically would,
Yeah.
you know, be commenting on protection and things like that, so those, it wasn't really anything of substance, they just came in a little bit too late to get into your packets. And I guess the only other comment I would make, Jim is correct that we kind of worked out some comments and revisions before he even was able to make the submittal, so I had no comments from engineering department as far as anything they needed to do. They came in with the application. And the other reason we encouraged this to go in front of you is that there were some historic site plan modifications for this site that went through the Planning and Zoning Commission, so we just figured we'd, you know, keep up with that, that school of thought and put it in front of you guys. But, you know, there really is nothing as far as a major addition or anything that's going on here. The previous additions were the same thing. I think the last addition they did, whether it was in the 90s or early 2000s, was this door entrance here. It's like a little atrium door entrance. And I think there were some cooler freezers in the back that they had proposed that I don't think they ever even got built. So really the only addition back then was at the door entry here. So the site's been cleaned up over the past few weeks, and I think it'll be you know, another good addition to North Branford, to the north end of town, and another well-needed coffee stop on the way to work, right?
In that stretch, there's not much there.
Hopefully they open early. So, can you just, I heard you say it, but I want to just be clear what I heard about, you'll work with the fire marshal during the building permitting process? Is that what you said?
Right, well, when this is being
Figure out bollards or
built,
whatever?
there'll be an inspection process with the fire marshal, and that's when that's when he's saying that he'd prefer to address the bollard or planter situation, whichever they.
Yeah, that's easily addressed.
Even planters is probably a good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
whatever
I think
you guys
as a
decide.
condition of approval, it should be something that is, you know, if that's,
Yeah.
if that's your desire, it should be something that's easy to handle during that building process, and especially if we, you know, include it
Yeah.
in an approval as a special condition of approval, so. Unless there's any objections or
No.
other thoughts on.
No, that's absolutely
Something
fine.
similar with
On how to keep it, you know.
parking lot, they put the barriers up.
Yeah.
That's basically the same thing.
I think we just have it as a condition to comply with however we state it,
yeah.
the fire marshal, fire chief's request for patron
Sure.
safety or something like that. And then you work, it sounds like the fire marshal wants you
Yeah.
to work with them at a later date anyway, so. Charles, you have anything?
No, I guess that's the biggest concern there,
Yeah.
is what the fire marshal said. I think you kind of covered it right there. Everything else seems to be straightforward. So as long as that it's contingent on that, when the fire marshal, you know, goes to do his final inspection, he's able to, you guys are able to come to an agreement on, you know, the safety concerns. I don't have any other questions on that.
I think we'll add it as a condition, just that they comply with the fire marshal and fire chief requests, because you're gonna do it anyway, so it's just a.
Absolutely.
Unrelated, but just to be nosy, are there sit-down tables, or is it just a coffee
No,
takeout?
on the restaurant, yeah, inside there are, yes.
Okay.
All right, who wants, you want to read, Charles?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, take your
everything
time. I
makes
just-
sense. I just
Yep,
like to
yeah,
read
no,
things
take-
first.
take your time.
Is the property address, what is the property address? The site plans, I saw something that said 1884, it says 47 here, I'm sorry. Is it 44?
1874,
Is it 1874?
yeah.
1874, so it says 47 here, so that's incorrect?
The fire marshal is transposing number, yeah.
All right, so I just want to make sure I have that right. So it's 1874 is the proper address,
That's correct.
Good catch, thank you.
right?
Yes.
1874,
Yeah, and this, the plans are 1874 as well.
Yeah,
so.
just want to make
Yep.
sure I saw
Good
that.
catch. So hold on. Okay, you have it in there, thanks, Victor. So it's standard conditions 2 through 9, and then 16 is special.
Right, yeah. So this is consistent with the regulations and.
Okay, good.
Okay, so do we, as far as the, you know, making a contingent on being on board with the fire marshal, is that just,
It's
that's the 16?
16, yep.
That's the way we want it to be written? Like that makes sense to what we were saying?
That does, because he's going to attach both of these.
Got it, okay.
Right,
Just wanna
Victor,
make
that's
sure you
the
guys are
intention, right,
comfortable.
Victor?
Yeah,
When it
that's-
says attachments,
Yeah.
you're attaching these, so.
Right.
Yep, he has to
Yeah,
meet.
just want to make sure you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
are comfortable with that.
Yep.
They
I
should
am.
be referred to
You
in
good
the
with that, Ron?
draft
Yep,
motion,
yep,
right?
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so I make a motion. I move to approve the planning and zoning application 2022 TAC 9 site plan modification request under section 23, Schedule A, line item C TAC 5 for continued use as a restaurant with an addition of 15 by 34.2 square feet of the rear of the building and associated site modifications at 1874 Middletown Avenue, Assessor Map 77 Lot, Zone BTAC 1, owner A and B Property Holdings LLC, applicant James Peretti, P-E-L-S, Crisolo Engineering LLC, as contained in submitted application documents and shown on plans entitled Property Located at 1874 Middletown Avenue, North Branford, Connecticut, prepared by Crisolo Engineering LLC, containing the following sheets. Sheet 1 of 1, proposed site modification plan, dated September 21st, 2022. Sheet ATAC 1, proposed plan for cross-section, dated August 25th, 2022. Sheet ATAC 2, proposed elevations, dated August 25th, 2022. The modification request is consistent with the recommendation in the plan of conservation and development to pursue the highest and best use in existing commercial and industrial uses, POCD, page 48, with the following standard conditions 2 through 16.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Thank you, folks.
That motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Thanks, James. Okay, moving on to other business. I propose for consideration that we defer B, A, and B.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
We don't have Trish or Robert.
I agree.
Robert's been leading the POC stuff, so, okay.
need a
noise
motion to
complaint.
table?
Do we need a motion to carry that? Or-
We can make a motion
Yeah,
anyway,
let's-
if
let's
there's
just do
safe.
it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I
just
make
make
a,
a motion,
make a
yeah.
motion to table, A and B under section 5 of other business till, next time when we have more people.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, now we'll get to 5C, which is the added agenda item, the noise complaint at 254 to 260 Branford Road.
So I, without, sorry if I'm, or not to take over or anything, but I did prepare a letter today that went to the chair, Mr. Nowak, and to the members, and I apologize for the lateness of submitting this to you folks, but it is something that, in discussing the matter with the new town manager, Michael Downs, that we wanted to at least get this information in front of you tonight and for you to consider for review and maybe a possible action. And I think if I give a few minutes for you to get through reading through the 1 1/4 page letter, and then we can maybe, I can get into a little bit more of a discussion on it and answer any questions that you might have.
Where is the letter? You have it in our pack? I have my,
It's not in the packet.
it's not in the packet, that's for
You're all
sure.
looking at me
'cause I
like,
had-
where's the
Yeah.
letter? I guess I gotta hand it out.
Yeah, it makes it easier.
If you want us to read it, you have to hand it
Yeah,
out.
well, after everything else, I just handed out. I'm starting to lose track a little bit.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
You got it last week for the speed reader.
Let me throw one.
So is this a
question.
new problem? Is this a new, did they,
So,
because it says that they've been kind of working to mitigate it, there's some complaints, but are these just recent complaints because they just installed this a few months ago or something, or has this
right,
been
right.
there?
So let me just, and I'm just gonna kind of, let me just zone you into where this is. You may already have an idea, but if I point out, that we're talking about actually these two properties here, 254 through 260 Branford Road. So we have the fire department here coming south down Branford Road past the post office, and then just opposite of the intersection with Harrison Road, we have the property. So the interactions, and you can see that through the letter that I've had some interactions, conversations, weekly updates from John McManus at Brook and Whittle. He informed me that around July of this past year, end of June, July, they did install a new press or new presses. I'm still not sure exactly what that means. I haven't been inside to see what these are, but I think they're like printing
presses.
label machines
Yeah.
and things like that. They're, they're rather, from what I've pulled from pictures online, they're rather large pieces of equipment that generate this noise that is exhausted or vented through the ceiling at the roof line of one or both of these facilities here. So I've been over there down through this parking lot. You can hear the noise, you can see all the different exhausts and equipment that they have on either building. And again, driving in through this axis here, you can hear the noise, but I couldn't point up there at either building and say that's where it's coming from. But yes, we have over the past, I was kind of made aware of this, and the letter points that out mid to end of September. And I think that, and definitely not making any excuses, but I think the fact that people's windows started opening, air conditioners may have turned off, the number of complaints that we had seemed to come right at that point. If there were other complaints from July to September, I didn't get them at my office. But between, like I said, the police department, town hall departments, public works, emails, and Facebook pages, from what I've heard about, different North Branford community Facebook pages, this is, a topic of discussion. When it came to the town manager's attention, Michael Downs, he pretty much immediately wanted me to make sure that I brought it to your attention at this meeting. It wasn't on your regular agenda. I was gonna put it on your next agenda, and he didn't want to wait that long. I wanted to get it in front of you. I went out of my way. I found time yesterday to go out and do some noise meter readings, and I did one right here at the corner of Harrison, and that one was tricky because as cars drive by, the road noise from the friction of the tires in the cars, that noise exceeds the noise level coming from here. But doesn't matter when the traffic stopped, and I found some 10-second windows. It's busy there. I found some 10-second windows to take a reading, and during those day hours that are described in the ordinance, we're just over what the permitted noise levels are.
So they're C though, class C, right?
So they would be, when you say, so class, the meter takes a reading as class A, but you're saying they're in zone C.
Yeah, because
but because
residential
we're
is
near-
different than industrial.
But because we're near a residential area.
It's in an industrial zone.
That's who it's in. Those aren't resident, those are residential zones through there, though, across the street.
Yeah.
So because the complaints are coming from residential zones, we're using the residential noise levels. Yes, Ron? Sorry.
OSHA, if it's bothering the people across the street,
OSHA doesn't apply, but anyway.
We have a
OSHA's
noise
occupational
ordinance,
safety.
and-
we have a noise ordinance, but
Yeah.
shouldn't OSHA be involved with
It's not
the
OSHA.
people working on these machines that are,
Oh, that's different.
So the people at the facility aren't the ones that are complaining, and I'm assuming that they're wearing proper
OSHA,
PPEs?
the OSHA 8-hour limit
Personal
is
protection.
90
Yeah.
decibels.
So we're really dealing with,
This is, residential noise is totally different, it's much lower, yeah.
It's lower, but
clearly.
because we're taking readings in residential areas, those are
Right.
the readings that I'm following.
Is it in
For
violation in the resolution?
So
it is.
So it's during the daytime, it's just over what it should be for residential. If we call it a class C, the 61, they would be just under during the daytime. But at nighttime, they're gonna be, if the readings are the same at nighttime, they're gonna be over
So
any of the
I
levels.
saw
Yeah,
this,
any
they
of
said this thing's running basically 24/7.
24/6 with Sundays typically off from what I'm being told.
Got it. So this thing's running all night.
And it's running all night. There's
Are
a
the
third
complaints
shift.
saying that at nighttime it's?
We have people that call up and they say that,
It's all night?
they either called the police department that night before at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and they invite me to come out to their house I'm gonna plan on taking a nighttime reading. I don't think it needs to be at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know.
Yeah, right.
If the nighttime hours by the ordinance are 9 PM to 7 AM, then either myself or the police department by the noise ordinance can take the measurements. So one of us will be taking a nighttime reading
Right.
and, you know, moving towards, you know, informing them that there's a potential violation and then moving towards penalties. But the way the ordinance reads, and I did give you a copy of that at 7C, is that the zoning enforcement officer, which I've been deputized, if you want to call it that, I'm the deputy zoning enforcement officer, shall recommend to the Planning and Zoning Commission a schedule. And that's kind of what I did by the last paragraph of my letter there, a paragraph for you folks to consider as far as giving them leeway to operate during daytime hours until at least the end of next week, where they can follow through with their re-venting process that they've proposed, their most recent proposal. And again, since I have such a hard time differentiating between traffic noise and
Yeah.
the industrial noise, I think they're covered during the daytime hours, but the next step of that paragraph for my schedule is recommending that we do a nighttime reading, and if it's over, that you approve the, I guess, the penalties would come from the police department, that you approve that we move forward with penalties.
Can I suggest something?
Yes, yes.
This is nothing against you. I wonder if we could make a condition that they hire a not that you're not qualified,
Yeah.
but noise testing is tricky, and community noise is even more challenging. I do it as a career in an occupational setting. Community noise is very tricky, and there's companies out there that are probably certified to do this. I wonder if we should, you could also do your
So we have.
check and balance, but have
We have a.
someone do that.
One of our sergeants is actually been
Oh,
certified
perfect.
to do this, so he's actually, another reason that I couldn't directly react to these since end of
Yeah.
September was I pulled the noise meter out of a closet and found out that it had, just by a month, exceeded its 1-year calibration.
Yeah, and you have to pre and post calibrate it.
So we
Before you
hired-
use it, too,
We
yeah.
called in a company to recalibrate and certify it.
Yeah, good.
And so that's
Perfect.
been done,
Yep.
and Sergeant Hannon, I found out through Chief Halloran, has been through the training
Oh, perfect.
to
Okay,
operate
good.
this metering equipment. So I could,
I just mean, if it
Complete the
ever
readings
came
with
to
that.
it, where it's
Yeah, I
challenging
agree.
this versus that, it's like, it's a person that does this like for a living type thing, you know?
Right.
That's all. I don't know if
So-
that makes
so-
sense or not.
and
for
like I said,
consideration.
Brooke and Whittle, John McManus they've been working, I should say working with us, but again, providing the weekly updates when I call. Sometimes
that's
they're
good.
emailing me without me questioning them. And, you know, giving me each step of,
Yeah.
well, we're thinking of doing this, that's not gonna work. We're thinking of doing that, and they can't get the company, like I said,
Yeah.
that would install an interior muffler system to
Yeah.
guarantee that it's gonna lower the noise. So why would you put I say, you know, you can't put a flat tire on a car with a flat
Yeah.
tire. So.
I mean, the best way to
there-
control noise is at the source too, and even to Ron's point, because it would
Yeah.
help the workers there, but
So
if you're
the-
trying to control noise, trying to control it out here, the best thing to do is to
And
control it at the source, and then you don't get it outside.
And that's what they're hoping.
And that, I'm not saying that's easy to do, because it's challenging to do, but they should focus there as well.
So they're into next week. You know, I could say that, you know, you've got a potential schedule in my letter to consider. You can come up with your own schedule
Have they-
tonight, or.
Have you mentioned
Just
it to
could-
them about them turning their machine off at nighttime? Have they had any response to that yet?
You know, I think when
If they're running it 24/7, my concern would be is like, is that something that, you know, like could be detrimental to their business?
I did have that conversation with them, and Mr. McManus said that, you know, they're running a third shift where that equipment is being utilized, and there are personnel, you know, employees that are working under or with that equipment. So that's why I kind of, when I fashioned the last paragraph of the letter, if you want to change it to say, you know, a letter could go out if they break the nighttime noise levels, a letter could go out stating that they should consider, that's why I wrote it, they should consider bringing the equipment back into the proper levels, which may mean turning it off. But I didn't want to I didn't want to necessarily have myself, or you're welcome to if you want, but, or have this commission, tell a company not to operate under their normal.
Yeah, they're zoned to do 3 shifts, but they have to meet the noise
Right.
ordinance too, so.
So
It's
if they
up
choose
to
to keep
them.
running the
Yeah.
equipment, then they can,
Yeah.
they can, take the brunt of the fines,
Yeah.
which are also listed there. It says a fine and/or imprisonment, so I'm not sure which, that would be up to the police
I don't think we have a
department
prison.
on how they want to proceed with that, but, well, I should just point out it's in there,
Yeah.
that it's in the ordinance.
It seems that both ways, there's gonna be people that are gonna be getting the short end of the stick here, whether if the machine stays on, everybody who lives in the area can't sleep. And if we turn the machine off at night, potentially people aren't gonna be working.
Right.
That's the way I see it right
But-
now.
But, we have a responsibility to
So,
our residents.
I was
and-
gonna say, I think the presidents, I think it comes down to the fact that it's not our fault that they decided to install a machine that is too loud at night, that's bothering people, and that's kind of on them that they failed their employees.
Right.
So I would have to lean on the fact that I think if it is in violation at nighttime especially, then they should turn the machine off and they need to get it in code.
Or
Because it's
again,
keeping
face
people
a
awake, or face a
violation.
fine, right?
And, just point out too, that we're not talking about 1 or 2 residential houses across the
I
street.
can imagine it's the entire
The
neighborhood.
North Farm condos, I did drive around as far as, let's see where I ended up here. In this area, right here, I think is where I was. And I took a reading back here, and honestly, there was birds and noise from the woods that, you'd be surprised how sensitive this meter is, but it was picking up the noise from Brook and Whittle, because we have had complaints in North Farms. And we've also had complaints off of Twin Lakes Road, which again, we're talking a decent distance away. I took a reading from right here behind the church at a shed. I tried to pick places where I could go back to if I had to retest that night. And again, it's below the daytime levels, but it was picking up. You can tell what the regular and no noise is compared to picking up some of that noise. And I could hear it from these locations. I
Is
could
it
hear
a constant noise, or is it like every?
It's a humming, resonating, high, mid to high pitched noise, yeah. If you drive by there tonight or go out of your way to go home, on your way home, you'll hear it, yeah.
It's the easiest
I'm-
kind to,
I'm
it's,
not-
I think.
it's the
one of-
easiest kind of to control, actually. It's the low, high
I would like to
wavelength
see
ones is much
the
higher.
noise levels in the daytime, at the nighttime, during the week, as well as on Sunday when it's off, to compare the difference, to see really how big is the difference. Just in the sense of, like you said, there's a lot of variables, but maybe comparing it from, hey, normally it's here, and obviously during the week, it's much elevated,
Right,
elevated,
right.
increased, or, by however much.
My thought with that also is, first off, I'm very happy for this company that they're able to run their machinery 3 shifts nonstop, 24/7, So, that being said, and they had to buy new equipment to keep up with their demand.
Sure, yeah.
Now, I'm looking at the onus is with the printing company to go back to the manufacturer of the equipment. If the equipment doesn't work sound-wise in this application, that's, somebody has to address that, and I think it's between the manufacturer of the equipment and the printing company. That being said, also, they do it with bands. Can't they put some kind of sound like Bill was saying, put the sound damping in the building to address the sound at the
Right.
source, as opposed to, venting it right out the roof
Sure,
where it's,
sure.
you know.
Which the inside muffler system that I referred to in the letter was one of the, the most recent avenue that they were pursuing. But when they got the quote from the HVAC company to do that work, they said, well, before we pay all this money to design and install this for us, can you give us some kind of a guarantee of what kind of noise level drop we're gonna get? And they said, well, no, we just install these things. We don't guarantee they're gonna work or to what level they're gonna work. So, that brought them to this next level where they're talking about reintroducing those vent stacks into the attic space and then exhausting that out the rear of the building. If that made, I don't know if I got that detailed in the letter, but that's what the next step is that they're looking at, to send the noise into the attic and then exhaust that attic space out the back of the building, which
Yeah.
I'd imagine there's gonna be some building code, maybe fire marshal type reviews that may need to be done with that, so. And that's the work they're trying to initiate next week on the 12th and the 13th.
Is that a Butler building? Do you know? Is it metal?
Yes, I think they're both metal buildings.
That's
and
why
I
it's
think
just,
there's
it's bouncing,
offices
it's
in
bouncing
front-
all over the place.
in front of this building. I
It's
can't
just-
imagine what it's like inside there.
It's
but-
just reverberating. They-
Yeah,
they should-
everybody must have.
They should
ear
use some sound deadening inside and try to box it. There's things they could do inside too. Okay, well.
Does it make sense to maybe bring them in and chat with somebody from them, or?
I mean, they're.
I think Victor
kind of,
kind of
Do
deals
they
with-
understand the severity of what we're considering, telling them that they can't operate at night? I mean,
They
is that-
haven't had a chance to, I did CC this letter to John McManus tonight. They haven't obviously had a chance to react to it yet because I literally finished it up at the end of the day today with readings that I got yesterday. So, I think, and I'm just trying to maybe say that from my deputy zoning enforcement officer responsibility was to provide you with a recommended schedule. Doesn't mean you have to act on that tonight or do any kind of schedule, and I'm not telling you to or not to, but, you can go any route with this where, you get more of your commission members to review this, I'm sure John McManus would be willing to come in and, discuss the plant operations and maybe other ways that we can.
I think you said it, and Charles
Solve
said it,
this.
I think we're all saying it. I don't know if we solve it. They have the right for 3 shifts, but they have to meet the noise
It's the-
ordinance,
it's
so
the
it's
nighttime.
on,
Yeah.
there's nothing we can
There's
do.
not enough
We can talk
information for
about,
us too,
we
yeah.
can talk about how we think it, but it doesn't matter what we think. They have to meet it, so they're gonna have to get professionals in there to figure out how to meet the noise ordinance.
Okay.
Right? I think that's not, our role is not the technical
Well,
side of
so
solving
from-
the things,
I think
it's
from
more the
this-
governance behind it, right?
So, I recommended a schedule.
Commission, not a,
And, I guess part of your decision
Yeah,
is
yeah.
based on the economically reasonable and technologically feasible noise control procedures, but, it's that night, those night hour
Yeah,
noises
nighttime
that.
seems to be, that's the main, not the main issue, but that would be the most pressing issue, especially for the residents. But at the same time, I think that's what we were kind of getting at is, is that something that we have the authority to say, hey, you have to shut off your equipment between this hour and this hour? Is that something we have the authority to do, or is that a recommendation from us to them? And then they can follow if they want.
Again, I think I strategically
Yeah,
wrote
I-
the recommendation to say
I agree.
that your nighttime noise levels, if they're not, if we tell them, or if you make a schedule that says your nighttime noise levels are not within the permitted ranges, then fines will be.
Right.
What we're doing here is we're kind of either setting them up or setting this up so the police department can move towards the penalty, the fines, or say that, you say that you're thinking this over, getting more info from the the violator, if you want to call it that, but they're not really the applicant.
Personally, I think
And
if they show good, if they show good faith to, this isn't solved easily, so, if they're showing good faith to meet these things with good, solid plans that you review and it seems feasible and reasonable, then I think, for me, I think there should be a little bit of reasonableness. If they show good faith, I don't think we shut them down if it's, what is it, 62? A car drive, you were out there, a car driving by is probably 79, right?
Yeah, it gets up
maybe
into the
more.
high 60s.
Eight-
High 60s,
yeah,
68, 69. And
Yeah,
I-
so
you know, I
I'm
wasn't-
not saying that's right, but I'm saying if they're working towards a solution,
So, again, that could
and it's a
be,
reasonable time frame.
If there's a schedule that you want to consider, and you want to say that, after.
Is
a
7 to
certain time-
9 the town's,
That's in the zoning ordinance.
is that the time for like quiet hours, 9
I
to 7
don't
at night? Is there?
know if it's just the times that are referenced in the ordinance itself. Under definitions, there's a day and a night listed. I don't know if there's any other ordinances for quiet hours or anything like that, but it's not spelled out that way in the ordinance.
I think that, and this is, I think that we should at least let them know that, we are aware of this. It's been brought to our attention. They should be making every effort to be within, within the noise level that they're allowed, or be under it. And if they're in violation, that potentially fines can come. I think it just making that statement, as those are the facts, like, hey, at nighttime, you really need to work to make sure you're within, within the noise level that you're allowed. And if that means they have to, internally figure out what's the best way as a company to figure that out, I think they're gonna be able to make the best decision versus us trying to, make that decision for them. They know what's best for their company, but at the same time, I think as a commission, we should say something to let them know that, hey, we are aware of this now, we're looking into it, and if you are in violation, there is gonna be a consequence, because you can't be, doing that all 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, to our residents who, they didn't buy their property there in North Branford to not be able to sleep at night. And I think that would be a good first step, and then in the next few weeks, if it makes sense for, that gentleman to come by, John. Yeah, if it makes sense for John, Mr. McManus, to come in so we could talk about potential, solutions, I think the board, we'd be able to benefit from that, as well as I'm sure they would. Also too, maybe in the next week or two, they come up with a solution on their own, but I don't think we should do nothing. I definitely think we should at least make that statement that, to let them know we are aware of this, and if they continue to be in violation, there are consequences to that, according to the existing rules that the town is governed by. Yeah. I don't know, gentlemen, if you,
Yeah,
agree with that.
that's what Victor's proposing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
think that's,
Yeah.
I have,
Well, I don't- yeah.
looking at the penalty fines, I'm not gonna say, but the important thing here is, there's jail time associated with it. If business is that good and you have to keep cranking, a $50 fine is,
Right, yeah.
I don't think the fine is gonna be that scary to them, but
the
the ability
jail
of us to
time will be-
potentially
Well, yeah, I think
actually
we-
shut them down is gonna be the more,
We probably need an interpretation on the fine. It says fine
It's-
and/or confinement in jail, so I don't know what that means.
Well, it's also that amount per day.
So I think the and/or
Each day in which
says.
the violation occurs is be considered a separate violation.
Right.
So it's like any government agency, it's like EPA, it's every day. Every day the violation occurs, you get fined that much.
Unless they keep hitting roadblocks where there's solutions that they're troubleshooting, keep not working, and I don't see this as being a long-term, like months of
Yeah.
noise being emitted from that location. I'm hoping that within a couple of weeks, it may get to a point where they don't even, Mr. McManus won't even need to come to the next meeting, or maybe he'll just come and say, thank you for your consideration, and, but we're all set, we fixed the noise.
Yeah.
But,
It's in their best interest, so.
you know, we just didn't want to wait another 2 weeks to get to the next meeting and then have this conversation and still not know what to do, or, you know, kick the can down the road, so to say. So, you know, we really kind of worked with them through the weekly updates to the point where we're getting enough of an outcry from the community where, you know, the public wants a result. And you can, again, you can see the amount of the North Farms, the apartments, or if it's an apartment or condominiums, that area alone, you know, starts adding up to, you know, at least a couple hundreds of units in there. So
Right.
talking about a good mass of, you know, a residential population in this area being affected. I went down Commerce Drive, which is behind this property, or just to the, just to the west. Commerce Drive is a little lower,
Yes.
so the north, you can barely hear it, a little faint, you know, it's not even worth taking the meter out, but everything's flying right over the top. So, you know, it's almost too bad that they didn't have it, and it sounds like that's what they're gonna do, try to exhaust it out the back and hopefully get away from whatever's coming off the top of the roofs. But I couldn't hear anything over here, and it was just as far away as the North Farms where I was down in here, so.
So you're looking for us to give you direction?
Again, it just can be.
You're just bringing us into awareness of this,
You can,
that you're pursuing this?
Yeah, I mean, there's either, you have several options to consider, I guess you could, the ones I can foresee is schedule I presented, your own schedule, or, you know, take it under further consideration for the next meeting and see how the fixes that they're proposing work out over the next couple weeks. I can go through with a few nighttime readings to see if, you know, to see if there's any changes in the equipment. If it runs at a different, if I use the word, the acronym, if it runs at different RPMs, that does get it below the nighttime levels. We haven't verified with the meter that they're above nighttime levels. That's why I said, if we go with this schedule, it would start with actually taking a nighttime reading.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, you know, going from there with, are they violating? If so, you know,
Yeah.
either report back to your next meeting or start with the fine process. I don't think we can, I think the whole way the ordinance is written up, from the way I understand it, is that, you know, every noise complaint that we get just doesn't automatically mean that a reading gets done and a fine is levied. There has to be that process of giving the emitter a chance to
Yeah.
come into compliance with with some type of schedule from this commission. I know I haven't made it easy for you. It wasn't easy to write the letter.
Well, certainly, we'll discuss this, but I mean, certainly going out and verifying nighttime levels is important. I think reporting back if there is an issue, that they need to continue to address it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's 2 weeks, I don't know if we want to report out or if we have Victor do something in between, I don't know, talk about that.
You know, personally, I would like to see a plan that,
I agree.
you know, with a timeline,
Okay.
you know, finite. You know, not something that, you know, we're waiting, you know, something to be designed in China and then come across on a container ship, you know. We should have it by 2030. Yeah, that's,
Yep.
no.
No, and again, that hasn't been the indication, and
Yeah,
I'm
right.
hoping next week, you know, shed some new light on, or at least they make some progress next week with their plan. And
Yeah,
in the
I
meantime,
mean,
I can.
yeah, I guess I want the printing company to be working with us, and I want to see progress.
Okay.
That, you know, not necessarily, well, we're gonna try this, you know, it may not work. Okay, when it doesn't work, let's look at something else. Well, let's look at a couple of things parallel. Like I said, the manufacturer must know there's a sound problem,
Yeah,
I guess.
I think
guess
we
the
should-
evening- Although it's stupid, I have to say it anyway. I don't want the solution to be that, okay, we don't run a third shift, but during the day, we put the old equipment back online, and now we're really banging the sound out during the day, which makes it worse than, we'll shut down at night, but make it terrible during the day. That's not a solution.
They have to meet noise ordinance
Right.
both times, so.
Yeah, I think we should, just for the sake of time here, I think we've gotten as far as we can get tonight. I think we should move forward with this. You should send out this letter, conduct further tests, see what those results are, and then, of course, like you said, hopefully that this is something that they can get fixed here.
Well, the
in a matter of
question is,
weeks.
does he take act, question for us now is, does he take action, or does he report back at the next meeting in 2 weeks? That's the decision we have right now. We're gonna take nighttime,
Yeah.
nighttime levels.
Right.
Based on that, you work with the, do we want to see a concrete plan for the next meeting, or does he take action and start pursuing the fines?
I could
Based on that.
take, I mean, it sounds like maybe you should.
Those are the two
I
questions you want, right?
I take nighttime readings before the next regular, our next regular meeting, report back to you with those, and also report back with a more, a better timeline, of a schedule with a better timeline.
I think they need to give us their
Instead of the
plan.
one I presented tonight.
I think it's from they have to give us a plan, what they plan to do in
Well, I need
timeframes,
to
right?
work with them.
Yeah.
I don't think I can just say, well, you give me a plan of what you're gonna do yet, you know what I mean? But I can work with them on a schedule that presents a timeline.
Yeah.
Or you want it
I
to be
meant
from then?
their plan to do this
Oh,
piping
their
through the
plan.
back
All right,
and,
all right.
you know,
A better timeline on their plan.
yeah, just if, to Ron's point, if that seems to be a reasonable solution, is you, the PE of the town, if that seems to be reasonable, but to Ron's point, if it's gonna be 17 months from now, that's not what we're looking for. This has to be
Sure.
a
yeah.
pretty solid plan and fairly soon,
And if.
We're
and if
actively
there's-
pursuing it.
And if the noise drops below day and night levels before the next meeting, then I'll report that.
Yeah, then
Yes.
Hopefully by
Yeah,
the
we
end.
solve the
So-
problem's solved.
Right,
So-
hopefully by the end of
Well,
next week,
yeah.
Okay.
Because nuisance doesn't necessarily mean high either.
No, it's.
So that's why this is a very delicate, community
No, we-
noise is a very delicate subject.
We get a variety of calls at land use and, all of the departments in town hall. And so, this is definitely one of those ones that when I got out there and checked it out, I'm like, okay, I get it once I got out there. It's
Yeah.
one of those noises that it's hard to ignore that it's happening. One of the gentlemen that called said he put his noise canceling Bose headphones on and he could hear it through there. It was still making its way through the,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. So Charles, you okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're moving forward with
Yes.
this,
Yep.
we're taking more tests and they're, actively working to come up with a plan to us, that makes sense to me.
Okay. Ron?
I agree.
Okay.
Like I said,
Yep.
there's a finite time frame.
Yes.
No cargo ships. Got it. Okay, there's no motion or
I
anything,
don't-
because it was just,
I don't think there would need to be a
It was just
motion
a-
for it unless you're.
I think it should just be put into the record that we
Yeah.
discussed this and that
Yep.
we're on
That
board
was
with
our
you
decision.
continuing, with your recommendations and with the outcome of this,
Yep.
the outcome that it will be here in the next 2 weeks at this point. And then, of course, keep us updated so we can,
Yep.
come up with the best plan in the future if this does continue, which hopefully it doesn't.
Right, and if we're at the point next meeting where it is continuing, I'll also request that Mr. McManus or Brook and Whittle.
I think that would be best.
Representative, give them a
With their
choice to
plan.
come to the meeting.
If they, if it does seem like it's going that way, then yeah, I think them coming here would help everybody just to get a better understanding of the situation and the options moving forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Item 6.
No, I don't have my agenda now. Item 6, town planners report.
Well, the new town planner,
Oh.
since I'm not actually the town planner, I don't even need to give a report, right? No, but the new town planner was, I believe, announced to start
Oh.
October 24th, but I think he has some complications starting then. I think his start date now, that I've most recently heard, is October 27th.
Oh, okay, still.
His name is Dennis Tobin, and I can give a more, you know.
He's a
lot-
consultant, is that?
No, we.
Oh, so we're not doing that, okay, good.
We've hired, the town
Excellent.
managers hired a new town planner, a full-time position to cover, staff with
Dennis.
this commission, the Wetlands Commission, and starting October 27th
Oh, good.
of this
All right.
year.
That's great news.
And,
Yeah, thanks. For
Right,
clar-
I'll still, I'm planning on coming to the next meeting and,
Good.
transitioning with him, so. Again, his
Oh.
name is Dennis Tobin. He had worked in Litchfield,
Oh, wow.
which when we interviewed, seemed to be another similar agritourism type of town,
Yeah.
maybe,
Right.
that has already dealt with some of the same, improvements to the town that this town is also considering.
Good.
And
Okay.
I think he lives in Pennsylvania now, but is planning on, I guess, moving back to
Wow.
Cary, and that's kind of what
Hopefully he's not commuting once a week.
Yeah,
for-
exactly.
No, well, that was
Pennsylvania,
one of the reasons I think he's, looking for somewhere.
How did you commute to Litchfield?
right?
No, I think he was living in Litchfield while he was working in that position, and still.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, okay.
So-
That's good, that's great news, actually.
and I don't think I
That's
have
the best
any,
solution, I think.
any additional applications or new applications that have come in for next month, but if anything
Okay.
comes in, we'll get it on the next agenda. And we're looking at so that'd be next regular meeting is October 20th, so he still won't be here then anyway, so.
Good, good.
You don't have application yet, so where's the second?
I'm not sure.
Well,
But,
probably Pat.
yeah, but I don't know if those other items on your agenda will be, the ones they tabled today, and the noise situation.
The noise, yeah, the noise might just get us here.
Well,
Okay.
sounds good.
Good, thanks for doing what you're
Yeah.
filling in and stuff and working a couple jobs for us. Thank you,
All right.
appreciate that.
I'm becoming an expert. at
And the
everything.
zoning enforcement guy,
Now I
too.
now I do noise too, yeah.
Yeah, 3 hats, okay, sorry, not 2. Maybe more, I'm not aware of. Appreciate it.
That being the case.
Yeah, all right.
Number 7.
Number 7.
I motion we adjourn.
Oh,
Does this
second.
gentleman have anything to contribute?
No.
He's just
Yeah.
Just watching? I just want to make sure before we, but yeah, then I second that motion, Ron, to
Okay,
adjourn.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right.
Just want to make sure, you didn't have anything to say over there.